But let me tell you something else about the word America. America, they tell you, is named after a Portuguese dilettante, explorer by the name of Amerigo Vespucci. But what nobody tells you is that that was not his name until 1505, because he was born Alberigo Vespucci. Alberigo Vespucci and Cristobal Colon were very good friends. And so Alberigo Vespucci comes down into Central America, and he comes upon a people that are called Amerisques. Amerisques. And these Amerisques are black, located in Nicaragua. You wonder why it's Nicaragua? Black water.
Probably wonder, why do white people pay so much attention to black people if they don't like them? You would think if you didn't like something, why would you be paying attention to it? I don't pay attention to things I don't like.
What's the answer?
The answer is the liar knows what lie he told. You see what I'm saying? So even if I made it deceitful and I made you think that the answer's over here, but the answer is really over here, I'm still gonna be looking over here. Me, the one that tricked, because I know this is the right answer. Black people have lost their identity, but our oppressors have not lost our identity. That's just why they chopped those noses off of the Pharaoh and the Sphinx in Egypt in the first place, is because without this nose, we can tell you this is whoever it is. But with that nose, it can only be Why would somebody vandalize a whole face and only vandalize one part? Nobody wanted to knock an eye off or take an ear off or no chins missing. No, just the nose. Because it's a brand.
Knowledge is power.
Can either of you explain how the Europeans were able to come to Turtle Island and steal our land? Do you think it was simply by using gunfire or giving us smallpox? Or could it have been natural disaster that wiped out millions of us and they came afterwards? It just seems hard to believe that a relatively small group of foreigners can take over a country of millions of us. We were millions strong.
That's right.
I just got a brief answer, just a brief answer, and then I'll pass it right to you. Is that okay?
Hey.
My brief answer is, it wasn't from natural disaster. It wasn't from smallpox. And it wasn't just from gunfire. There was a trail of tears, and there still is a trail of tears for us Indians. They systematically wiped us out on paper. It wasn't a physical wipeout. It was a spiritual wipeout because they put their religion on us. Then they put our kids in school, that compulsory education. So that's my answer. That's my answer, and according to my research. It wasn't any one thing. It took generations and generations for us to forget who we are on our own land.
Now here's my answer. First of all, it was the propagation of the gospel. They knew that we were a spiritual people. So when they came in, those very first settlers, they brought with those exploiters, those explorers, they brought with them missionaries. That's what happened. That it was way before compulsory education. The very first schools were Sunday schools.
And let's explain the propagation of the gospel.
Sure.
Let's just break down that word, propagation. Propaganda.
That's right.
That's a lot of what you see on the TV today. Propaganda, only back then, they physically came to you with the propaganda. And then generationally, they brainwashed our children with the propaganda. Now we know they brought guns, germs, and steel. We know that. But that's not the real answer.
No, and then we were fighting tooth and nail. See, they could not win over us us. That's why they had to systematically, through religion, through compulsory education, kill the mind of the Indian.
And to your point, they couldn't kill us because, remember, the American Indian War was over 300 years.
It's still going on right now, as a matter of fact.
That's the longest war in history besides Afghanistan. But they don't talk about it.
They had a law that they created that said that anything other than grass could not be in your front yard. It's called the Beautification Act of America. Because people had whole farms. You wanted a lot of land, not to cut that sucker with a lawnmower, to grow stuff, to take care of your stuff. But no, we need you to go to the grocery store now. And keep in mind, the grocery store doesn't have anything growing. And in your mind, you keep saying it's a grocery store and there's nothing growing. You go to the pharmacy and there's no farm. But you know, your mind has been programmed by lack, limitation, and not enoughness in a slave mindset. You're not able to put it all together here. There's nothing in here healthy. So the bottom line is we were taught to limit ourselves from our natural healing. We were taught to be afraid of getting into our natural self because that's paganism. Herbalism is paganism. You got crystals and you got stones and things, and you into these numbers. That's pagan. You got to go to the church to get your healing, and you got to wait till you die to go to heaven. But the book, I'm reading the book, and don't say that. Where is this in the book at? I thought it said something about creating heaven on earth. I thought it said something about you can do more than I. Once you realize that you've got to reach this divine state inside you, and once you reach that, they call it in Sanskrit the siddhi. You have to reach this divine state, right, where you are existing, right, by creating your outcome in your mind first. First in your mind, then feel it like it's already happened. Feel like you are creating heaven on earth. Feel your body healing. Feel your organs regenerating. I've had people who have healed just from thought. I said, just focus on your leg, your knee, being better.
Receipts, so you know it's mine. And the thighs don't match. Well, turn to your neighbor and say, these BBLs killing y'all. Oh, yeah. And the thighs don't match. What a
Okay, so I'm saying, what's the rush though?
What you mean, what's the rush?
What's the rush? Like,
I'm trying to, listen, I got stuff I gotta do for the rest of the day. I ain't gonna lie to you.
what you mean? I thought we supposed to be spending the rest of the day together. You got my stuff packed up and stuff. We wake up this morning like, what's going on? I thought we was gonna spend the day together.
I'll be honest with you. That's
I thought we was gonna spend the day together. Listen, like, why we can't spend the day together? Like, what's going on? Like, you got something else going on?
Listen, your BBL don't smell too good. Honestly, it don't.
What are you talking about?
Your BBL does not smell good. Last night, it was just
I know you fucking lying. I
serious,
wash my ass very appropriately. What the fuck is you talking about?
Listen, it was not smelling good last night.
Yeah, you weren't saying that shit last night.
It doesn't smell good at all.
You hit it. I don't understand how you.
Listen, what I'm saying is,
I understand how you talking about.
I couldn't finish though because it wasn't smelling good.
You
though.
forcing it. You definitely forcing it. Get the fuck out of here.
You want to listen?
You got another bitch.
You should never got a BBL. Honestly, you shouldn't because it's not
you
smelling
got
good. Honestly, it's not.
You got other bitch, don't you?
What you mean? No, I don't. Why would you say that?
Because
I'm telling you the honest to God truth. You need to do something about it.
Bro, go on with that shit, bro.
You need to do something about it. It wasn't smelling good at all.
I know you tripping. I know you.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know why you got a BBL anyway, man. That shit got your shit funky.
No, it don't.
Back in the day, your shit was not smelling like that. Honestly, it wasn't.
Boy, what the hell
Ever since you got that BBL, your shit is it's just too much for me right now. Honestly,
please go with that shit.
I'm being serious.
I wash my ass very appropriately.
I'm being serious.
Very
I'm not
appropriately.
playing. I'm serious.
Go to the doctor on the regular, all of that. I don't know what the fuck you own.
You should never got that BBL.
You on some extra shit right now.
You should never got that BBL.
You definitely on some extra shit.
You see, I'm crazy. I be thinking, yo, I was crazy enough to believe what the fuck I was saying gonna happen was gonna happen. And that's why I was persistent enough and consistent enough to exist now. And when I'm coming up, niggas is like, yo, who with him? Like, who he with? I'm on myself now. I do what the fuck I want to do.
Project Bluebeam. By far the scariest years we may see. This conspiracy achieved its status in 1994 by a book that was written by Serge Monast. In the book, the writer describes how the United Nations, in collaboration with NASA's technology, will unite the whole world under a new false religion. But how? There will be, supposedly, an alien invasion, which is all part of the whole show, of course. And one day, a hero, a god, will come from the skies and destroy these aliens. And us, human beings, we will not believe our own eyes and start to worship this god. Whatever this god orders will happen. One world order. This is called the Project Bluebeam. Now, I don't believe that they have the technology that is capable of deceiving us yet, but in the near future, they might very well be able to make them. If you are a Muslim or a Christian, this whole show must ring a bell. This is the person we have been warned about more than 1,000 years ago. If this happens, this is the Dajjal, the Antichrist. Be prepared.
Their plan is to create, eventually, an hoax, a threat from outer space, to try to unite the world, like Independence Day, the movie, in a sort of a military global junta of humans against aliens. It's all nonsense, it's BS. But it sells well. It sells movies, it sells tickets, it sells books.
This is the Bluebeam, Project Bluebeam?
Yeah, that related to that. And I've met with many men who've been on operationally, like literally have been operational on those programs. Now, it went from really clunky stuff, like the Betty and Barney Hill abduction. People think that was alien. It wasn't. It was us.
There is also this idea of they're all coming in 2027. Long story short is they said we weren't ready. Ex-CIA operative Ramirez, he's the one who brought this information to light, and he said the recent disclosures, whistleblowers and underwater discoveries are all part of an intentional narrative to prepare the population for the day the aliens show up. We're kind of preparing the US population, at least, and that by extension the world population, to that reality, that there is a presence here and that we need to explain the presence, because if they showed up and we continue to do what we did before in previous decades, there would be mass panic. The reference to previous decades presumably refers to the policy of denial. So for example, no, never happened, cover it up. In many ways, I think the word got out within the government that they're showing up in 2027 and we better be prepared. I've heard 2027 in a kind of an official capacity. The people in the government that are aware of something happening and that there is limited time and there's only a few more years to prepare the people so they're not so panicky.
Even that screams of just a Project Bluebeam 2.0.
Correct.
Like, if you really wanted to create fear, you would keep that information between the five of us, for example.
Yeah, but why
and
would
you would say, hey, we're going to tell everyone that there's aliens coming.
Yeah.
And we spread that straight out, and it's disinformation and that everyone believes is real.
And then it does come.
And then it comes.
And it ends up being Project Bluebeam.
Yeah.
This part 2 of the Anunnaki breakdown. And I just want to let you guys know that before the Anunnaki came down to Earth, we was already here. We had other spirits that we was worshiping, and we had our whole system set up. This system was called Medu Neter, which translates into Mother Nature. You can find a Medu Neter written all over the world. It's everywhere. The Medu Neter taught us that everything have a spirit. And Neteru translate into nature spirits. We knew that everything in the world that breathes life have a spirit, and that spirit must ascend one day into another realm. The Neteru are the primordial beings that always been here ever since the world existed. And these 4 beings, they represent earth, air, wind, and fire. Medu Neter teaches us that our spirit is more important than our flesh. It also teaches us that before we hopped in this vessel, we was a little orb of light. We was once this orb of light but we wanted a human experience. We wanted a plant experience. We wanted an animal experience. So we hopped into these different vessels before we got here. So Metal Nectar, it deals with the spirits of Earth. It don't worship nothing outside of this realm. Some may say that the Netaru are compared to the Anunnaki, but it's no way. The Netaru been here way longer. They always existed within us. The Anunnaki always had a secret agenda. It was like manipulation. And the Netaru, they just wanted to see us ascend in life. It was never about the destination. It was always about the journey with them. Your soul would start off as a white orb of light, but the more you ascend and the more experience you get in life, your soul will start to radiate into different colors. Yes, orbs of light are angels. A lot of people see them on their camera and different things because we can't see the whole color spectrum, but these devices could. These are the primordial beings. They've been here forever. They live within us and around us. We never worship idols. We always worship things that we cannot see and cannot touch. These are the teachings from ancient Kemet. These are the secret mysteries. This is my story.
Be careful. If you know that you are a sensible person, then I may ask you not to watch. Thank you. Black and bronze people, we are the Anunnaki gods, and I've been telling you this. But what you don't know is that black is not our true color. That's why some, the human beings, call us people of color. The high vibrational human beings of today are those who call us people of color, and they do it to be nice and respectful, but they don't know the reason that stands behind it. The ancestors of the human beings saw who we truly are when they came from planet Nern and lived with us. Our planet was vibrating in the 33rd dimension, and we were at our full potential. We were blue, red, and green. So when the ancestors of the human beings learned to talk and were evolving from their Neanderthal state, they called us people of color because we were indeed colored. They started to write history of the things that were happening among us. That's what Greek mythology is all about. The first ancestors of the human beings were Greek. Today, we are black because our planet fell in frequency from the 33rd dimension to the 3rd dimension due to the great invasion that happened after, and I will talk about it in another video. We are not supposed to breathe oxygen, but hydrogen, while human beings are indeed supposed to breathe oxygen. The oxygen weakens our bones and creates this brown skin. And that's not our true color. If you want to see your true color, you just have to wear pure copper accessories, such as bracelets or chains. And after a while, you'll start to see your true color. Because the copper strips away the first layer of the epidermis of your skin, that is not real, and it will show you the true color of your skin. The high vibrational human beings call us people of color today because it has been passed to them by their ancestors, and they intended it as a sign of respect to be nice to us, while in reality, there's a whole world of reason behind it. And now you know it. Remember, positive energy always creates elevation. Now we rise.
It's not even possible. Like, how did they know that Mars was the red planet, and why was it a worldwide fact? Saturn had rings. Yeah. Based upon what information? Because nobody worldwide is disagreeing. This is that thing that you see that all the Anunnaki guys that have that look like a wristwatch, and they always have it, and you're always trying to see what that is.
Yeah, what is that?
It is a time, it's a compass. It's a timekeeping compass. And the emerald tablets of Thoth are literally mind-changing and mind-blowing. It's given in first person, and that's not possible. The things that are being said are impossible. Enough time has passed, though, that it's not like that. He literally says, hey, there's a spaceship on Earth, and this is where it is.
The hidden truth is, Jacques I was born to the Imperium of Haiti. His house name, Dessalines, was a code name meaning the alignment, the alliance of bloodlines, kingdoms, high-born houses. He was the last-born heirs that unifies two empires. From the east with the Inca Empire, known today as the Inca, and from the west, the Holy Roman Empire, merge as one to bring order, freedom, and peace to the chaotic ancient world. Jacques I, or Isa Ingayaya, was a direct descendant of Emperor Atahualpa, Inga XIV, and Holy Roman Emperor Charles V, Carlos Quinto. Charles birthed a new continental bloodline dynasty and ushered in the ultimate supreme throne as the Emperor of the world. Racism and religious persecution, known today as history, replaced the Imperium legacy timeline with the French colony story, stating that they bought slaves from Africa to the colony of Saint Domingo, and Dessalines was a slave born in the plantation. Later on joined the French General Toussaint Louverture rebellions, freed himself, and become an emperor, which was complete and absolute nonsense, because no slaves can become an emperor before their masters, let alone the ruler of the world. Most people have no idea how transfer of power works, especially in the ancient world. It's a tradition of high-born nobility. Houses, you have to be of the bloodline. Ain't no slaves from somewhere can become an emperor of the world, specifically in the time of slavery. Based to their historical records and story, not a single slave ship survived as proofs of this mythical transatlantic slaves trades. In Haiti or East Haiti, there is not one slave dungeon that was discovered. Makes you wonder how long they've been manipulating and bury the truth. Haiti has the most military forts, surrounds the island, with a prime location for imports and exports, with good tactical and a variety of range, including the greatest military fortress in the world, the eighth wonder, known as the Citadel La Ferrière. All signs pointed out that Haiti, the empire, had never been colonized. The name of the army tell a different story from their history books, that they unalive all of the indigenous people from the land, that they have to bring African slaves, and when it all comes together, one asks the question, why these African slaves didn't call that army after themselves? Why did they call it the indigenous army with Jacques I as the emperor, also known as the Inca's emperor army? Proves to you the length they will go, the lifetime dedication, the lengths and measures that's been taken to reclassify and manipulate the timeline of the Empire of Haiti. If you enjoy the content, please donate $9.99 and become a member by helping us create more high-quality content. Stay tuned for part 2 of the Emperor of the World, Jacques I, next week.
This will blow your mind. If Neil Armstrong was the first man on the moon, then who took the photo from outside? Why have we never returned to the moon, even though we now have technology thousands of times more advanced? If humans evolved from apes, why are apes still apes and haven't evolved as well? Why did 56 countries sign a treaty to do almost nothing in Antarctica? What is it they don't want us to know? Why can't planes fly over Antarctica? How did NASA manage to lose the footage of the moon landing, one of the most important events in human history? How were the pyramids and other massive structures built, perfectly symmetrical and incredibly detailed, when people at that time lived in huts and used the most basic tools? How did they manage it without machines or advanced technology? Why are there ancient Egyptian artworks that look like depictions of spaceships? And how do we explain the remains of giant bones that have been discovered? What about the stories of giants in ancient texts, including the Bible? Why does ancient Egyptian art, along with other cultures, depict the shape of a pine cone that just so happens to look very similar to the human pineal gland? Why do so many cultures across the world have legends of dragons, even though they were separated by thousands of years and vast distances? And why are dragons also mentioned in the Bible? Why does the music and entertainment industry contain so many strange, almost demonic symbols? And why are so many video games centered purely on violence? How is it that The Simpsons can predict events with such detail and accuracy? If we're living in the most advanced era in history, why are obesity, cancer, heart disease, and depression all at record levels? So many questions, so few answers. If you want me to reveal the answers to these questions, comment answer and share this with the closest person in your life to see if they can respond to these questions.
The FBI has just put out a new warning about iPhones and Androids. Here's everything you need to know. Authorities are now saying that text messages sent between iPhones and Androids are able to be seen by the Chinese. Because these texts are not encrypted, they're open for hackers to be able to view them. You have a couple different options here. Number one, use some type of encrypted texting app, and all you have to do is Google it and you'll find quite a few. There's a couple free good ones as well. Or just make sure that the conversations you're having don't include any personal information or any sensitive information. As I mentioned a couple videos ago, this hack is ongoing and not sure when they're going to get this fixed. Now more than ever, make sure that you are not sending any type of banking information or any information including passwords, anything sensitive that if somebody got a hold of, they're going to be able to hack into your accounts. So not only do you have to be careful of the links that you click on and your security there, you really have to be careful of what information you're sending. Definitely unusual times. Let me know your thoughts on all of this.
Why is nobody talking about what this guy just warned us about? Watch this clip very carefully because you might not see this anywhere else.
A large blackout affecting the entire or a large portion of the United States of America. Imagine what that's like. You walk outside, you turn on your phone, there's no signal. You go back inside, you turn on the TV, no signal. You turn on the radio, no power. You turn on the faucet, no water. You turn on the fridge, no refrigeration. Your food starts to spoil. You walk outside, cars pile up, no streetlights. Within 3 to 5 days, the food is gone from the grocery stores. And the trucks that the city counts on to resupply that food aren't coming. Within a week or two, the sewage system starts to overflow and contaminates what remains of the water supply, and people start getting cholera. Societal order starts to break down. There's mass evacuations. The emergency responders who during the first few days were desperately trying to evacuate people trapped in elevators have now left their positions like many did during Katrina to protect themselves and their own family. The unfortunate news is that the threat of such a blackout is very real.
The way things are looking right now, I refuse to be unprepared.
want to be the one that brings the whole celebrity world down, and I like it. Meet Courtney Burgess. He testified that a friend of Kim Porter gave him 11 flash drives. Now, I'm sure we all know who Kim Porter is, Diddy's children's mother. They dated back in the day, and she allegedly passed away under mysterious circumstances, some phantom pneumonia. He told the grand jury on these flash drives, there are 8 celebrities who were all being victimized in the surviving Diddy Kelly freak-off way. 6 males, 2 females. Also on these flash drives is Kim's original 54-page book with the real details of what the hell the Diddy monster been doing. Mr. Burgess also said at least 2 of the celebrities were underage. He also said all 8 celebs were inebriated, under the influence, whatever you want to say. They were not in the right mind, and they were being victimized on this tape while the Diddy monster surviving Diddy Kelly watched. Diddy done, and I got a good idea of who those names are. And I name all the names that were at this infamous party and tell you why it's revealing. And I'll talk about it on episode 3 of my podcast, The Flow Show, on Apple and Spotify. Go check it out. I'm out.
Our political experts are joining me right now for some serious analysis. And Nia Malika Henderson, there's another part of this Time Magazine interview with Trump. I want to get your reaction to this. Let me put it up on the screen. The president-elect is moving the goalposts on some of his pledges, like lowering the price of groceries. It's hard to bring things down once they're up, Trump says. You know, it's very hard. And in addition to repeatedly saying he would bring prices down when he was out there on the campaign trail, listen to what he was saying just last week. Listen to this.
We're going to do things that a lot of people thought we're going to drill, baby, drill. We're going to get your prices down. I started using the word, the groceries. When you buy apples, when you buy bacon, when you buy eggs, they would double and triple the price over a short period of time. And I won an election based on that. We're going to bring those prices way down.
So why do you think Trump is now backing away from that plan?
You know, it's unclear. I mean, one of the things that's clear is he never really had a plan to actually bring down grocery prices, right? He thinks that tariffs are a magical solution to bringing down the cost of everything. They'll even pay for your daycare, apparently, if you have tariffs. Of course, tariffs are inflationary, so that wouldn't work. Even when he talks about expanding oil production in terms of lowering prices, there are record high of oil production currently. So that doesn't seem to work either. But it is interesting that in this interview, he is suddenly, you know, sort of in reality in many ways, because it is very, very hard to bring down prices once they go up. We'll see what his voters think, and we'll see in 100 days or so what the price of eggs and milk is at the grocery store and what voters think.